So again, Assalamualaikum and a very good day to all of you. So now we will continue our class for the second topic for today's class. So now we will cover on project cost planning, which is I will focus for the first part on project cash flow. Okay, so previously on for our morning session, we have covered on project resource planning. And then this is the second topic for my part. We will cover on project cost planning. Okay, so for your information, this is the first part for the project cash flow. And then maybe by next week, we will cover on the second part for this project cash flow. Okay. So without further delay, I will continue. I will proceed with today's class for the second topic. Okay. So,
Doctor, can you record the class?
yeah, sure. Currently, I'm already record this class.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you for your reminder. All right. So, as usual, we will go through this quick checking for the purpose of our topics and also lecture plan. And the other thing is assessment. So basically, for our morning class, today we have covered on this first topic of project resource planning. And then this is our second topic of project cost planning. So basically, for next week, we have 2 more days to cover on these 3 topics. Okay. So basically, for the assessments, I have briefly explained for you in our previous class. So later on, I will give the details regarding each assessment, either for assignment, test or quizzes, and also group project. Okay. So that's all for our quick chat, and then we will continue to the subtopics for this project cost planning. Okay, so basically for this topic, project cost planning, we have several subtopics to be covered on. The first one, as usual, I will give you a brief overview or introduction related to the basic principle of project cost. And then we will proceed to the requirement of project cost and so on. So the latter part, I will explain more on the what we call example and also samples for the cash flow forecasting calculation. So we will start with the fundamental part and later on we will cover on the example of the cash flow calculation. Okay, so as a soft reminder, at the end of this class, we will have a short online quiz for the continuous assessment. So hopefully all of you will be prepared and ready for this. Basically, this is just a simple online quiz in order for you to what we call to obtain some marks for your carry mark. Okay. So later on, I will explain more and brief more regarding this online quiz. So maybe it is about 15 or less than 30 minutes. Okay, 15 to around 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. The other thing is that this online quiz will cover on this second topic, project cash flow. Okay. So the next one is, okay, I will continue with the overview for the theoretical part for project cost planning. So the first one is regarding the basic principle of project cost. So basically the main item or the main fundamental for the project cost are different types of costs. So I'm sure that all of you already familiar or already know regarding this kind of cost. However, I will give some explanation and highlight more on this type of cost, because later on all of these costs will related to the preparation or the calculation for project cash flow forecasting. So it is very important for us to be able to differentiate different types of costs, so that later on it is easy for you to do the forecasting. Okay. Okay, so basically for the different types of costs, we have, for sure, we have the direct cost and then indirect cost. So basically, these two are the main type of costs involved for any types of project or any type of development. So basically, as the name indicates, direct costs contribute for about 90% of the total cost. And then we also have indirect costs, which only contribute for around 10% out of 100% for the total cost. Okay, so basically, if we add up these two costs, it will contribute to the total cost. So direct cost, or DC, will be add up to the indirect cost IC, we will obtain the total cost, or TC. Okay, so later on we will cover more on this type of cost for the cash flow forecasting. Okay, apart from these three type of costs, we also have the other term is profit. Profit, it is also known as contractor's markup. Okay, this what we call the fourth element of different types of cost. Okay. Alright, so that's regarding the different types of cost. Okay, let me share you with the detail for each cost. So basically, as I mentioned just now, direct cost, it is refers to the cost which is directly related to the project or site requirements. So basically, direct costs are related to the resources of the project. So basically, these are resources. Okay, as we learned in our previous class. Okay, we have different type of resources, and all of you already aware and already familiar with different types of sources. So these three are basically the what we call the common or the basic resources required for any types of project, such as material, machinery, and manpower. Okay, manpower or labor. Alright, so any cost which are related to all of these resources are basically fall under the category of direct cost, which is about 90% out of total cost. Okay. And then apart from these direct costs, we for sure have the indirect costs. Okay, similar to the direct cost, indirect cost is any cost indirectly related to the project or site requirements, or the other names or the other terms for indirect costs are overhead or fixed costs. Okay, so if you have come across these two terms, of different type of costs, so basically overhead or fixed costs are referring to indirect costs. Okay. So basically, the payment or the release for each indirect cost can be either on the basis of daily, weekly, monthly, or it can be annually, depending on the different types of works or different types of requirement for the payment itself. Okay. So basically, apart from the cost which is related to the resources, main resources of the projects, there are fall under the category indirect costs. So basically, there are some examples of indirect costs such as staff salary, office rental, and any other management part uh, of any project to be covered on, such as office equipment and facility charges, or any fees to be covered on, and other related management costs. Okay, so Hopefully all of you already can differentiate these two type of costs. Okay. So far, is it okay for all of you?
Okay, Doktor.
All right, thank you. Okay, and then that's regarding the direct and indirect costs. The next one is that okay, this is just a summary or just a straightforward what we call straightforward formula for the direct cost plus indirect cost, which is equal 100% equal to total cost. Okay. Okay, continue to this. We have okay. Just now I have mentioned so far I have mentioned about what is actually total cost. Okay, for your information, for the purpose of project cash flow, we need to properly differentiate for sure these two types of costs, direct and indirect costs, uh, where this cost contribute to the total cost or TC. You can just call it as TC. And then the other thing is that the other term is that we have the contract value. Okay. So this one is CV. Just now we have TC. So basically, all of you need also to know what's actually contract value is, and most of you, I think already also already familiar with this term. So basically, just as a quick recall, contract value is referring to the summation of total cost and also profit. Okay. So basically, CV is equal to PC plus profit. Okay. So each of these, what we call each of these term contract value, has what we call it is also called as client's liability, because contract value will be backed by the client part, and then total cost will be backed by the contractor's part. So that's why total cost will be categorized as contractor's liability. And then for the profit, it is fall under the category of contractor's markup. Okay. All right. So basically, in any project or in any works, profit is actually one of the main criteria to be considered by the contractor. Okay. Commonly, most of the project, and probably all project will consider and try to optimize this profit value. So at the end, the contractor will not bear any loss. They will try to gain more profit. Okay. So that's basically regarding the contract value and also the total cost. So later on, you need to differentiate which one is contract value and which one is the total cost, because it will related to the basically the question itself. Okay. Okay. So basically, this is just plotting for the graph plotting for the cost versus time, which is this one is the example for monthly cost versus time. So what I want to share here is that over the time, the indirect cost um, will be uniformly distributed over the time. However, for direct cost, it will form an inverted curve where it will steadily increase during early stage of the project or the construction, and then it will have the peak amount here, and throughout the project progress it will be decreased towards the end of the project. So that's the main different shape of or different allocation of direct and indirect costs for specific project. Okay, so this one is on the basis of monthly, or it can be daily or weekly. It's depending on how large or how big the project is. Okay. So the next one is regarding the cumulative cost, just now I have shared the graph plotting for monthly cost, just a basic cost versus time. And then if we plot the graph for cumulative cost versus time, we will obtain this kind of shape. Okay, so basically indirect cost will be directly proportional to the time over the time. And then for direct cost, it will form this shape. So later on, basically this shape is similar to S shape or S curve. So later on, I will explain more on what's actually S curve if in costing and financial of the project. Okay. So this one for the cumulative cost graph. And then the other thing is that we have the total cumulative cost. So if we refer to this plotting, we also still have the same items, cost versus time. However, for the total cumulative cost, it only will contribute or develop only one line, which is called as S curve. So basically this curve also represent the total cost. This is because if we look at back to this one, we have indirect cost line, which is gray line represent the indirect cost, and then the blue colored curve represent the direct cost. However, for the if we plot for the total cumulative cost, we only have this one red curve, which is called as S curve. This is because, as I mentioned earlier, we have the direct cost and indirect cost. So direct cost contribute to the most of the cost, which is usually around 90%. However, indirect cost only contribute about 10%. So basically, this indirect cost, if we plot this total cumulative cost, it will be merged to the direct cost. So that's why we only consider this as curve for the total cumulative cost. Okay. So basically that's the basic principle of project cost. So far, do you have anything to ask or anything that not really clear? Or is everything good? Everyone? Is it okay?
Doktor.
Okay. So how about the audio? Is it clear? You can hear me right clearly? I'm afraid that we have some.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Okay. If so, we will continue to the next one, to the next subtopic. The next one we have, okay, requirement of project cost. So basically, this is also an introduction or fundamental part for the project cost planning. Okay, for the requirement of project cost, which is the second subtopic. So basically, the first thing is that there are several requirements for the project cost. In order for the what we call for the project planner or the contractor themselves to prepare this project costing, for sure they need to have the estimating process. Okay, first thing first, they need to carry out the estimating process. So basically, estimating process can be done through taking off all of the items and quantity for each related scope of work. In order by doing this, the contractor or the planner themselves can determine the required types of work and also related factors to the which related to the cost itself. Okay, so that's why they need to carry out the estimating process of by taking off different types of work scope, and then once they have once they have determined what types of works that need to be carried out, the details of the specification, then they will proceed with the estimating of estimating of the cost of work, and through this, from this, by having the costing for each related work, they will need to calculate build-up rate for each element or work activity. So by having the detailed calculation for each element or work activity, then they will come up with the estimation amount for the specific work or specific activity. Okay, so that's the main requirement for the project costing or project cost. And after they have come out with all of this estimating part, and then the next one, they will prepare the project schedule. So basically this project schedule, as all of you already know, that we will prepare the Gantt chart. So basically Gantt chart will represent the whole schedule for the overall project. So most of the time, this Gantt chart will incorporate costs for each activity into the plan schedule. So basically, if we have the Gantt chart or the schedule incorporate with the costing, so that one will be the financial schedule. Okay. So basically, later on I will explain more on this. Because we in most of the time in any project we have the financial schedule or financial S-curve, and then we also have the physical S-curve in order for the respective parties, especially the project planner or project manager, to keep on tracking their project progress. Okay, and then once they have preparing the project schedule in terms of financial or costing, then the next thing to determine the cost requirement for each of the activities, either across the project duration, either weekly, monthly, or maybe annually. But most of the time, we will use the basis we will use the monthly or weekly basis. So it's actually depending on the scope of the project itself, the size of the project, either it is small or large project. So basically, that's all regarding the requirement of project costing or project cost. Okay. Okay, the next subtopic is that. Okay. Just now I have mentioned regarding the preparation of Gantt chart or work program. So basically, this is the simple sample for the Gantt chart itself, which incorporate the cost element for each activity. So as we can see here that we have numbers of activity here, and then we also have list of activities. So basically this is just a simple activity breakdown for the purpose of this example. And then for each activity breakdown, the planner themselves has allocate the required cost for each of these activity. And then on the right hand side, we have the duration or the time frame for each of the activities to be completed on. Okay, so basically this is the duration on monthly basis. Okay, so basically as we can see here that for example, here we have site preparation. We have the cost about around 1,500. So basically, depending on the requirement of the project, depending on the time frame for that specific site preparation. So for example, here it need to be done within 1 month. So basically, all of the costs will be allocate here. So all the total cost of 1,500 will be allocated at the first month. Similarly to the second activity, which is excavation. So we have set preparation, then we have excavation. Similarly to the previous one, the total amount for the excavation works is about 1,200, also has been allocated to fully during this second month. Okay, so for those who are not from civil engineering background, it is okay, because this is just a detailed sub-activities for civil engineering works. However, this is just for the purpose of example. Okay, so hopefully all of you can understand this. Okay, continue to this. For the third activity, for example, here we have the form work. Okay, for form work, the cost is about 4,000. However, since the what we call the duration to complete these activities is 2 months, so that they can divide this cost. For example, here they have uniformly divide the cost for 2,000 for each of the month. So the total still 4,000. Okay. So based on this, basically all of these cost allocation or cost distribution is depending on the decision of the planner in order for them to ensure that the works can be delivered and can be completed within the specific or the specified duration of the project. Okay, so later on we will have some example to in order for us to have more clear view on this Gantt chart or work program, which the distribution of the cost. Okay, so once we have all of this cost allocation, at the bottom part we have the total monthly cost, cumulative cost, and also monthly duration and cumulative duration. Okay, so basically for example here, the total cost of this project is about 54,500. So basically we can, by having this Gantt chart, we can track or we can present the monthly total cost by add up all of these costs. Okay, so at the end, for the cumulative cost, it must be the same with the total monthly cost here. So that's why the value is the same. Similarly to the monthly duration and also cumulative duration. So based on this Gantt chart, we have what we call, we have two main items to be presented. The first one in terms of financial or the costing, and then in terms of the physical, which is the duration itself, the duration of each activities to be completed or to be constructed. Okay. Okay. So far, is it clear to all of you? Or am I going too fast?
Yes, Doctor.
Is it
It's clear.
okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay, because this is just a simple example, so hopefully all of you can understand this Gantt chart, our work program for the what we call, for the preparation of the financial and also physical project, what we call project tracking tool. Okay, and then the next thing is that this is the S-curve. As I mentioned just now, S-curve is very important. So later on, I will explain more what's actually S-curve is. So basically, based on previous Gantt chart, we can prepare this S-curve cumulative cost. So all of these, what we call, all of this amount will be referred to the previous table. Okay, so we will have this total cumulative cost, and then all of this data to be transformed into this S-curve cumulative cost graph. Okay, so by having this, the contractor can present this S-curve to the client part for the purpose of project forecasting, and later on, all of this can be used as the tracking tool for the project progress. Okay. The most important thing is that for us to bear in mind that S-curve, in preparing the S-curve, we need to use the total cumulative cost instead of monthly cost. Okay. And then, okay, basically this is a continuation for the what is S-curve refers to. So basically S-curve, as I showed just now, S-curve is a tool or indicator to show the project progress. So basically, based on S-curve, either physical or financial S-curve, the contractor can show their current progress to the what we call to the client, especially during the reporting the project progress. So basically, both in both S-curve can be used for the project duration and cost. Okay, if we use for the project duration, it is physical S-curve. Okay, later on I will explain again regarding this physical, and this one is financial. Okay. Apart from that, S-curve is also very important to be used at project planning stage. Because during the planning stage, the project planner and also the project manager can forecast and can predict what's actually their upcoming or the upcoming project progress, so that they can try to forecast any deviation or any related problems, okay, as early as during the planning stage. And apart from that, S-curve, as I mentioned previously, it can be used as delay tracking tool. So during the project progress, if there are some deviation from the actual or the plan schedule, so the contractor can track their performance based on this S-curve graph. So by having this tracking tool, it is easier for them to detect any issues or any problems, so that they can try to avoid the delay issues. Because as we know, delay is quite a big issue, because it is very common in any types of the project, depending on the scope of the project. So it can be just a minor delay, or it can be a major issue in terms of delay, because delay itself can be, it's actually another branch of the study, because all of us try to avoid or try to reduce these delay issues. Okay. During the procurement or during the early stage, S-curve also usually it's required to be submitted to the client in order for the contractor to obtain the project. Okay, so that's why S-curve is quite important, which is very essential for the contractor parts to present this S-curve to the client. And at certain time, the client may ask for both Gantt chart and also S-curve. Okay. Apart from the S-curve, they also ask for the detailed Gantt chart. All right. So all of these need to be prepared by the contractor to be presented to the client. Okay. And then the other thing is that for sure the client may reject any poor S-curve. So that's why the contractor need to properly plan, to properly manage in preparing the optimum S-curve to the client side. Okay. So far that's regarding the S-curve. Let me see. Okay. So before I proceed with the different types of S-curve, just now actually I already mentioned regarding this type of S-curve. So any of you has experience in managing this or in checking, or as mentioned previously by Diana, do you have any experience to monitor or to check this S-curve? Anyone?
Yeah, actually both doctor, monitor and also checking lah. So for the first 2 weeks after penyerahan tapak to project kick off to contractor should submit to client the complete
Okay.
work program, which is have a physical lah. Actually, so for monthly report, they should submit for physical, SCF and also financial to monitor the costing and also the activity on site.
All right. So
Mm.
basically, during the early stage, they just need to submit the physical S-curve first, and then later on they will
No,
submit both.
actually both. Actually both.
Okay. Both physical and financial.
Yes.
So okay. So far, based on your experience, do you have any what we call any problems relating to this? For
Yeah.
example,
Sometimes actually we also we not accept for the first lah, doctor. Sometimes they should redo for so many time before we approve the work program, before SO approve the work program, because of sometimes they just put macam tu je lah. So macam kerja cincai is very poor S curve lah. So
all
it's
right.
happen on the real situation on site actually.
Okay. All right. Okay. So thank you, Diana, for your sharing. So basically, in as shared by Diana, in actual implementation or actual practice, the contractor, some of them tend to prepare low quality of S-curve, so it can be poor S-curve. So in that condition, they need to do the revision. They need to redo the S-curve in order for them to properly submit to the client and then to obtain the project, okay, before the project award. All right. So that's regarding the actually what is S-curve is.
Cuma untuk
Okay.
untuk sharing lah, basically
Okay.
untuk course ni, dia depend on apa tu schedule of compensation, sama ada in the ITP tu dia guna progress payment ataupun milestone payment.
Okay.
So S-curve ni sebenarnya kita relatekan dengan progress payment lah, sebab dia physical progress
Okay.
akan berapa persen dan kita akan bayar.
Betul.
Tapi sometimes, most of the time kita pakai milestone payment macam 10% BG, lepas tu 10% lepas kick-off meeting. That one kita bagi milestone payment lah. So
Okay.
basically bila dah milestone payment tu, kita akan monitor dia punya value of work done dengan accrual lah, supaya dia tally balik dengan kita punya progress S-curve.
Okay. So basically apa yang Cik Iskandar share, basically S-curve is usually for progress payment only instead of milestone payment. Is it? Betul ke?
Dia dua-dua boleh guna, tapi the way kita implement tu agak berbeza lah. Kalau straightforward dia untuk progress payment, yes kita boleh straightforward. Tapi untuk yang milestone payment tu dia
Betul.
kena ada value work done accrual lah.
Okay. Alright. Okay, so basically S-curve memang macam tu lah, sebenarnya dia based on the basically S-curve is for the progress payment release lah sebenarnya. Okay. So
Sebab dalam actual kita ada beberapa lah. Progress payment alone ada, milestone payment alone ada, and hybrid pun ada. Milestone dan progress pun ada. So bergantung pada kontrak kita macam mana lah.
Oh, okay, faham. So basically hybrid tu dia campur lah kan? Campur antara progress and also what we call milestone payment.
Dia selalunya dekat progress ni dekat construction. Kalau kita EPCC, dekat construction tu banyak progress lah.
Betul.
Ataupun dekat banyak commissioning ke, dia ada, sebab dia flatten kan draft dia. Tapi dia
Betul.
perlukan man hours yang banyak.
Betul. Okay. So thank you Cik Iskandar for your sharing. So basically S-curve can be applied for both what we call different types of payment. As shared by Cik Iskandar, we have different payment mode actually. For example, based on the progress, milestone, and also hybrid. So it's the way how we implement this is depending on the scope of the project itself and how what we call the way we handle the project and the contract itself. Okay. So thank you for both Diana and Cik Iskandar for your sharing. So hopefully it's can be valuable information to all of us. Alright. So the next thing is that we will continue on. Okay, this is just the same as we discussed or as we mentioned just now. For the S-curve, we have two main types. The first one is physical and financial. So basically, physical S-curve refers to the S-curve to represent the activity duration or the work effort of each of the works to be done or the progress in terms of the project accomplishment. And then in terms of financial, for sure it will shows the monthly cost distribution. So we can track either the cost, what we call cost or the budget for each activity is on track or the contractor are behind the schedule or over budget or what we call in terms of delay issues, okay, for the physical performance, physical progress performance, and for the financial, they will tackle more on the costing part. All right. Okay. So since we just continue our class, I think we will skip this one, short break. Okay. We just continue to the next subtopics for the evening class. All right. So far we have covered on these two fundamental parts, and then the next one is about the forecasting of project cash flow as a part of our project cost planning. Okay. Basically for the forecasting itself, it refers to the projection of income and expense during the life of the project. So basically both income and outcome of the budget itself refers to the inflow and outflow of the cash itself. Okay. So basically forecasting is how we project or how we predict the cash flow for each activities. Okay. And then this one also just what we call fundamental part or theoretical part for the importance of project forecasting, specifically on the project cash flow. So basically, why we do the forecasting for the project cash flow? Because there is a need to ensure that adequate cash by the contractor at a certain time, so that the contractor will able to proceed with the works or the required activities at the required time at the specific time. So that's why they need to have the adequate cash. Okay. And then the other thing is that it is forecasting of project cash flow is very important to convince the lender or financier. So basically this is the case where the contractor need to do some loan, for example from the bank, so that they can try to convince the lender or financier in terms of their what we call financial record. Okay, and then the other importance is that while having the proper forecasting, so that the required cost is to be made available at appropriate time. Okay, so basically this one, the first and third one is quite interrelated. So the most important thing is that we need to ensure that the contractor has sufficient amount of money at the certain time or required time in order for them to deliver or to construct the specific work, okay, specific activities. Okay. Okay, so basically that's also the just a short what we call short overview for the importance of forecasting. However, basically for the detailed one, we can do our own reading. So basically there will be for sure have a detailed explanation regarding all of this importance of the forecasting, because it's related all the main item for the project itself can be interrelated, so that we can prepare the proper project cash flow. Okay, and then so far that's just a short overview for the forecasting, what's actually forecasting is and how important it is. And then we proceed to the preparation of cash flow data. Okay, so basically this is about how we prepare the cash flow and how we forecast the cash flow itself. Okay, so in preparing the cash flow data, there are several basic steps to be followed or to be carried out. Okay, so the first step is that for sure we need to do some information gathering here. Similarly to the second step, also the information gathering. However, the first one related to the cost distribution for each of the element of the works or activities. And then for the second step is regarding the payment and expenditure term. Okay, how the payment to be released, how the basis frequency for the payment release. Okay, step 1 and step 2 are actually interchangeable. We can do either one first. Okay, as long as we gather the sufficient amount of the information, especially related to the cost itself. Okay, for the cost distribution, so basically it can be obtained from the project schedule. So based on that, we need to compile every required information so that later on we will have a proper cash flow data and for the forecasting purposes. And then the other thing is that the next step is that we can carry out the data analysis. So for the data analysis, based on these activities, we can prepare the analysis on the cash in and cash out, both inflow and outflows of the cost itself. And all of these analysis should include the duration, so that we can aware what is the amount required to be used at a certain time to be expensed for the specific activity with its own durations. Okay, and then the final step is that we can do the payment versus income graph plotting in order for us to determine total cash flow requirements. Okay, so later on I will show you I will share some graph plotting for the purpose of cash flow requirement. Okay. So basically, for the first part, for this evening class, we will cover more on the overview for the project cash flow. So by next week, we will continue to the second part. That one is more on calculation, where we need to apply all of this theory and all of these fundamental, so that it is easier for us to do the calculation and this project cash flow forecasting. Okay, so continue to the preparation of cash flow data. This one or this figure shows you the typical cash flow graph. So basically, this is just a simple or typical cash flow graph, which present the cash out, cash in and cash outflows, and also the cash requirements. Okay, so basically, as we can see here, we have the S curve. So basically, this S curve represent the value of completed work or the current progress of work. So basically, this is the basis or baseline for the tracking purposes for the project progress. And then the other black curve and this dotted black color curve represent the cash out, which is cost liabilities and also cost payment. So for sure, in actual implementation, there will be slightly differ between the actual and also the S curve line. So as long as it is within the allowable deviation, it is still okay. So that the contractor will always on track in terms of financial and also physical progress. And if you notice here, we have this step line graph. So basically, this is the to represent the cash in, where it represent the payments received from the client. So every time the client release the payment to the contractor, it will form this step line graph. Okay, so basically this S curve and this line for the step line graph should be always closer to each other. If there are too much gap between these two line, so it will shows that there will be some what we call some problems relating to the financial and also costing of the contractor. Okay, if we have that situation, meaning that the contractor is struggling with the financial issues. Okay, so by facing the issues, probably most of the time they will face the delay issues and unable to deliver the and to complete the works as following the required or specified time duration. Okay, so later on we will also cover on this cash requirements. So basically, cash requirement refers to the level or the amount of cash required by the contractor at certain time for the specific activities or works to be done. Okay. All right. Okay. That's all regarding the preparation of cash flow data. So, so far, do you have any question regarding previous subtopics, or is everything clear? Or as usual, any of you, if you have anything to share, so you are very welcome to do so. Okay. Is everything okay?
Yes, okay, Doctor.
Okay. All right. So thank you for your response so far. Okay, and then for today's class, for this evening session, the next subtopic we have the factors affecting the cash flow. So basically, again, this is just an overview for this project cost planning topic. Okay, so let me proceed to the next subtopic. We have factors affecting cash flow. So basically, all of these factors which affect or contribute to the project cash flow, it's not limited to only to these factors. Basically, this is just a summary or this is just a example of the related main factors. So actually we have many other factors or many other contributing factors, sub-factors that relate to.
Sorry, didn't quite catch that. Could you please repeat it?
Okay, sorry. Okay, so basically all of these factors are the main factors. So in actual condition, we still have many other sub-factors or many other causes that may affect the cash flow. So here I would like to share several factors, and if you like to have further reading regarding this, so you can do so. Okay, you can do your own reading for the factors affecting cash flow. So basically, if we look at this, for the first factor related to the payment frequency, so as I mentioned previously, frequency of the payment can be on the daily. It's not daily, maybe commonly we use the weekly or the monthly basis. Most of the time, the payment will be in monthly basis. So payment frequency will also affect the cash flow, because if there is, for example, if the payment should be paid on the monthly basis, if there is any problems regarding the payment frequency, so for sure it will affect the cash flow of the contractor. So it is interrelated to the delay factor. Okay, so in any project or in any development that need to be delivered to the client, if there is any delay issues, so for sure delay issues usually by the contractor themselves. Okay, if the delay caused by their part, so if they face any delay issues, so for sure they will receive late payment. So by having later payment, so it will affect the condition of their current cash requirement at certain time for the specific activity. So that's why it will affect the project cash flow. And then the other things is that we have several other factors such as contract value, profit margin, that may affect the cash flow. Okay, so the other thing we have the retention fund. So basically for the retention fund, it's basically refers to the secure fund by the client. Okay, so that the client will secure this retention fund as the in order for them to be used in case of there is delay issues or the contractor can't deliver the project as specific or as being agreed. So they will retain this fund. So basically, most of the time, this retention fund will be used by the private project as compared to the government project. Okay. And then there are other factors that may affect this cash flow, which related to advance payment, and also the other thing that if the contractor receive too much advance payment by the client and they are unable to manage that advance payment properly throughout the project progress, so for sure they will face these cash flow issues, and it will affect the whole cash flow. And the other thing is that if the advance payment is too late, so that situation also will affect the cash flow. Okay. Similarly to the overpayment and also front end loading, all of these are related to the payment. Okay. The other thing is that related to the work subcontracting. So basically, some of the works can't be done by the main contractor. So they will subcontract the specific work or specific job to the respected or related specialist. So that one also may affect the cash flow if the payment condition between the main con and subcon got any any problem, so for sure later on it will affect the whole cash flow. Okay, so basically all of these factors are interrelated because all of these related to the payment itself, so it will for sure affect the cost and the budget for each of the works or activities that need to be done. Okay, regarding these factors affecting the cash flow, is any of you have ever experienced this kind of issues? Because I'm sure that delay issues, payment especially, may be experienced by any of you, especially who is directly in charge the project. Any of you would like to share? Anyone?
Doktor, actually for retention fund tu we call as WJP, jaminan pelaksanaan. So
Okay.
yes, true, kita memang hold tu sehingga CMGD lah, pelepasan akhir. So yes,
Okay.
this affect to cash flow, and but from my part we not kita tak amalkan untuk advance payment lah. So basically we just paid contractor whatever dia done on site.
Okay. So meaning that there is only retention fund as compared to advance payment.
Yes, retention fund tu kita biasanya kita tahan 10% daripada
Okay.
keseluruhan harga projek. So sometimes contractor dia care jugalah about that. So dengan cara ni saja boleh control contractor on untuk kerja-kerja on site lah.
Okay, so basically retention fund as mentioned by Diana is about 10%. Because for your information, most of the time if the client has retained the amount of money for the retention fund, so they will have no advance payment for the contractor. Okay, so it's either one lah, sebenarnya dia salah satu je sebenarnya, either retention fund or advance payment. Okay, so apart from that, any other input or anything to add or anything to share apart from Diana? No more things to share? Okay, it's okay. So that's regarding the factors affecting the cash flow. So hopefully this is just what we call, as I mentioned just now, this is example of the main factors that may affect the cash flow. So you can go through in detail by your own for each of the factors if you are interested to explore more. Okay. And then we will proceed to the next one, which is basically this is our last subtopics for this evening session. Before at the end we will have a short online quiz. So basically this example just to give an overview of how to prepare the cash flow forecasting. because by next week we will cover more on the calculation part. All right. So basically, for the example, this is just a simple example for the culvert construction planning. Okay. So basically for this kind of question or problems, we will be given the table later on. I will show the related table. So we need to understand all of the what we call of all of this information or the details so that we can apply later on to the preparation of the cash flow. Because basically we will given this information and the details, and together with this table. All right. So basically here we can see that this is the main information here we have given about the tender value and cost for each activity was stated, meaning that was stated in the given table. And what we need to do is that we need to plan the cash flow prior to the project start according to the contract term. So the other keyword is that the payment will be made 2 months after each submission of payment claim. So meaning that the contractor need to deliver the works first. So they will submit the claim after 2 months, and the payment will be released at the end of the month. Okay, so all of these criteria, all of these requirement details will be used later on. So what we need to do is that we need to calculate the maximum cash requirement to construct the project. So basically, the main purpose of why we should do this project cost planning, one of this is that we need to know the maximum cash requirement required by the contractor at certain time for the specific activities or specific work. Okay, so as I previously remind that we need to clearly know that either this what we call the situation either in contract value or total cost. Okay. So later on, all of these item or element will affect the whole cash flow because we need to do the detailed calculation. So for this situation or for this question, we have the tender or contract value here instead of total cost. Okay, so here, okay, I'm sorry for the this table because it is in Malay. However, it's just for the purpose sample question. So basically the first column state the types of different activities for each of the required works to be done for this culvert construction. All right. And then the next column we have the contract value. So basically this is CV. So that's why I already reminded we need to properly identify, determine whether it is in contract value or the refers to the total cost. And then we have a cost for each of the activities. And then the other two columns, we have the start date, and then we have this one is finish date. Okay, so basically these two column represent the period or duration of the activities to be completed. Okay, so we need to have the information regarding the activity, contract or total cost, and then we need to know this duration. Some of the time, sometimes this what we call this column, either we will given this duration, or sometimes it will provide us with the relationship of each activity. So later on, this relationship can be used to prepare the network diagram. Okay, that's all regarding the example of cash flow. So basically, the thing that we need to do is that in order for us to prepare the cash flow, since this is the how we want to prepare the forecasting, so we need to prepare this kind of table, which basically this one, if we look at back, this is refers to the Gantt chart, as I shared previously, Gantt chart, a work program. So we need to prepare this table in order for us to come up with this Gantt chart. We need to include activity at the first column, and then copy everything regarding the contract value and put it here, and also all of the rest of the information, cost, we need to also include to this one. And then since we have given just now, we have given the start duration and also finish duration. So basically, it is easier for us to distribute all of these works to the monthly basis. So that's why we have all of this month to what we call as a duration for the project to be done. Okay, so basically for the first activities is the excavation works. So we just need to put the contract value here and then the cost. So what the main thing is that for preparation of this Gantt chart, we need to know how to put this the bar for each activity. Okay, for example here, if we look at back, for the excavation works, the starting, we need to refer to the starting and the to the finish duration. So the works will be started on 1st May and will be finished on 31st May. So mean that it got 1 month duration. So that's why we have colored this red bar here to represent these activities. And at the end, we need to refer all of these, and later on we will come up with this Gantt chart by having different by having all of these bar to represent all of the activities with its specific duration. Okay, so this is just a simple Gantt chart. So at the end, at the bottom part, you need to put the monthly amount. So you just total up everything. And then this is the monthly amount for based on the duration given. Okay, so we can add up all the amount, and this is the I think this is the this is the monthly amount, and then at the bottom part we will have the also the monthly cost. Okay. So later on, basically this is the overview of how we want to prepare the Gantt chart in order for us to prepare the cash flow forecasting. Okay. All right. So the next one, once we have this Gantt chart, okay, the next step is that what we need to do, we need to prepare the other table so that we can try to calculate all the required terms, all the required component. Okay, for example, here we have nilai bulanan, which is refers to the monthly value, which is the monthly amount, and then this one is cumulative amount. We just need to add up this amount, and then we will come out with the cumulative amount. And then this is the payment progress payment, which is cumulative progress payment. So as I mentioned just now, we need to properly determine, properly identify each of the details given in the situation or the question. So previously, it's already mentioned that the payment will be made 2 months after each submission of the payment claim. So that's why here, for the first 2 months, we have 0. So 0 amount here. So the payment will be released at the end of the second month, so it will included in third month. So in this case, the payment will be released on July. Okay, in July. Okay. So we also need to calculate the monthly cost, and then for sure we should have the cumulative cost. So basically this is the overview for the forecasting preparation. So next week we will do the detailed calculation, because at the end what we want to do is that we want to obtain this value, maximum cash requirement. Okay, for this what we call, for this case, for this situation, 172 is the maximum amount required by the contractor. Okay, so this is the answer for the question actually, because we need to do this, calculate the maximum cash requirement to construct the project. Okay, so the next thing is that after we have done all those Gantt chart and also the detailed table calculation, this actually, the third one is plotting all the data, all the value to this S-curve and also the step graph. Basically, for the purpose of our class, this is just an optional. If you are able to plot this, it's good. It's good for you. If not, it's just sufficient. If you are able to only to obtain this amount. Okay, so this is an additional part where you can try to plot this graph. So maybe to answer the question, you don't need to prepare the detailed graph plotting. However, most of the time you can prepare this graph plotting for your assignment or group project. Okay. Okay, so that's all regarding the example of cash flow. Before we proceed with the online short quiz. So before we proceed with the quiz, anything to ask? Anything to share or to add from any of you?
Okay, Doctor, I have question.
All right.
Okay, maybe can you go back to the previous slide?
Sorry. Previous one. Is it this one?
Again, previous again. Okay, no, the forward, one more forward.
Forward.
Forward. Okay, this one.
Okay.
For this the cost bulanan under May, which is
Okay.
how do we calculate manually the 32.5? How do we get
Okay.
this figure?
Okay. So basically, there is what we call formula to calculate all of these monthly costs, because as you notice, if you notice here in this table, we also have this all of this amount of value, right? So later on, basically not today. I'm not sharing the formula today. So is it okay for me to share it by next week? Is it?
Okay,
Or maybe
Can. I thought like how you derive this. Okay, next week.
Oh no, because of sure we have the detailed calculation. Okay. Maybe before the class, I will share the example so it is easier for you to refer during the class. Okay, Maika, thank you for your question. All right. So apart from that, any of you would like to ask anything? Because so far we have covered all of the subtopics. So later on, before we end our class, we will have this short online quiz.